For more, William Lee joins us, Chief Economist, Milken Institute. Good to see you again. I don't know, you're smiling, but I think homeowners or people who are looking to buy a home probably aren't smiling, because I'm looking at some of these mortgage rates here, 6.5%, 7%, 7.5%. I haven't seen these numbers since we started this show 10 years ago. These are some really high numbers. I mean, this can't be real.
Well, Phil, that shows how your age versus my age. My first mortgage was 13%, and I thought, wow, that's a great rate. And it came down to the 4s and 5s, and then you just keep refinancing. So I think the secret about housing right now is, do you have enough income? Do you have a steady job? Are you able to afford that house with a real steady income? And right now, with the Federal Reserve tightening rates, the big fear out there is being laid off and having a recession that is very severe. So the housing market is really the tip of the spear for the Federal Reserve to slow the economy down, to bring inflation down, because that's the only sustainable way to get employment.
We all get why they want to have us buy less stuff at Costco. I understand that, but when you have fixed rate mortgages, 6, 7%, that's got to crush the soul of people who want to borrow money to buy a home. It has to, because you're only a little older than I am, okay? We're not that far apart, but we've been used to 2, 3, 4% mortgages. We've all gotten used to it. We've all been spoiled, and now we're talking about more than double this. That's going to crush the housing market. How does it not?
Oh, there's no question the housing market is supposed to be crushed, because the housing market, even though it's about 12, 15% of the economy, has huge multiplier effects. Because once you buy a house, you buy a bunch of other stuff, furniture, washing machines, the whole works. And that really is where, if you slow down the housing market, you will slow down the economy big time. So that's the mechanism that the Fed is working through. But for those of us who are in the real estate market, I was trying to sell a house and people are trying to buy a house. I mean, you're seeing prices drop left and right. Now, the Case-Shiller numbers that you just talked about still show double-digit gains, but for the first time they turned down. But those are July numbers. The actual real estate market here in September and October is much, much worse than what Shiller is showing. And so the numbers are coming down, and that's what they're supposed to do. And essentially, people are going to buy a house, going to wait it out for about 6 months or a year and say, wow, I've got a hell bargain here, because this house is now 10, 15% lower than it was a year and a half ago.
I saw Redfin, I don't know if you search all these different websites like I do, but Redfin had a report that said luxury housing, I saw this last night, demand was down, or at least the sales of luxury homes was down nearly 50%. And I thought maybe it was an error of some sort.
No.
That seems to be like the direction we're going into, because any normal investor is going to look at this and go, I can put my money in the bank and make 4, 5, 6, 7%. Why would I take out a huge loan and pay that money? You're not going to make that money back.
That's right. And so it's really a matter of timing now, right? When can you get into the real estate market, either as an owner who wants to live there or an investor, in order to be able to be profitable? And right now, for the next year or so, it's not going to be a good time to get in. Now, if you have to buy a house because, your wife is expecting a second baby and it's due any time and you need the space, then you're stuck. Then you're going to have to buy at these high prices. But if you can wait, the advice to everybody out there is wait for the next year, year and a half, and you're going to come out with bargains.
I had an argument with a buddy of mine down in Southern California, an area I know you're familiar with, and he's selling a couple homes. And we said, well, there's not much inventory, but here's the thing. A lot of people bought these places to Airbnb out over the last, say, 5 years. I'm talking about millions of homes. And then they're going to look at, I can put my money in a bank and make 6, 7%, or I can continue to Airbnb my homes. At some point, they're going to say, you know what, we're not going to Airbnb it anymore. I'm not going to clean the sheets. Let's just get rid of all this excess supply. And maybe that's where we're going to see inventory, correct?
Well, the rental market is really, really strong, especially for single-family houses. So in some ways, the Airbnb model may switch over to maybe just rent the house for the next year or two while the rents are so hot. So we're not going to see a lot of inventory coming on the market just for sale, because these owners are fed up being landlords.
Right, but if President Biden and a number of individuals, a lot of people want to have more affordable housing. I want more affordable housing for Americans, but if you raise rates to the point where builders don't want to invest in building more, you're never going to have more inventory in the marketplace. So the one thing that is, I guess, helping inflation is also hurting the goal of having affordable housing here in the U.S. How can the White House fix that?
Phil, you hit the problem right in the head as usual. This is the question to ask about real estate. How do we get more building done? And guess what? Get rid of the damn regulations that's keeping the land banks restricted for builders. You can't find land to build on anymore. And also get rid of the immigration laws that's restricting labor from coming in from Latin America to give us skilled carpenters and people who are willing to work in the housing market. That will increase the supply much more than any kind of messing around with mortgage rates and subsidies from the government.
As usual, you want to open more cans of worms in our topic. William, good to see you, my friend. We're going to talk more about this later. For now, thank you.
Thanks for having me.